Pastor, could you tell us your name and the church that you're with here?
Okay, my name is Lito Magbanwa, but I am more known as Lito. Yeah. And the church I'm serving with, First Baptist Church Poplar. And we belong to the Highline Baptist Association. We are with the Southern Baptist Convention.
So tell us about your call to the ministry.
Well, I was in college when I received the Lord. Somebody shared to me the gospel. Somebody with the InterVarsity Christian Fellowship, and then I became a part of the movement after that. And it was there where I discovered the call to the ministry. Straight after college, I joined as a staff of InterVarsity, and then later on left InterVarsity to become a pastor. I studied in the seminary, in Asian Theological Seminary in the Philippines, Quezon City, Philippines. Yeah, and no turning back after that.
Tell us about your call here to Poplar.
We've been coming to the reservations in the last 5 years. We organized teams to go to Wisconsin and here in Montana. We've been coming in and out in the last 4 years, 5 years. My burden, my concern was we're not making really an impact. We may, we may have an impact, but that it's like the short term is not really the way to go if we would like to disciple the Native American peoples. So we've been praying, we've been encouraging people to say, hey, go there and stay for a while, maybe at least for a month. And we have very, very few Indian pastors, and that has been my concern. And it seems nobody had answered my challenge. So when the opportunity opened up for us to move in, we were invited to become a part of this church. We took it. We believe God called us to become a part of the work here in Montana, specifically here in Poplar.
And so you began your ministry here in Poplar when?
The last week of February I was here to help them. And then they said, why won't you consider becoming our full-time pastor? So I would say March, I was officially the pastor. March, I can't pinpoint the date, but yeah, sometime in March.
And tell us about how the ministry has gone.
Well, when the church invited me, there were only 7 people actually left in the church, and it was kind of a challenge, but I was surprised. I think they were just waiting really for somebody to become a pastor. There has been no pastor here for a while. And so the first Sunday I was here, people started to come in. It was really a challenge. I have to learn also the culture of the people. The good thing is they speak English, although my English is Filipino English, I still mispronounce the words sometimes, but we get along, we communicate. The challenge is there's just in so much darkness. Like you share the gospel, they have no problem, receiving it. They will pray the sinner's prayer. It's when you start with the discipleship that the challenge really take on a new thing, Like we have people who would like to really change. They would like to walk with Jesus. If they're with us in the church, in our Bible study, they're okay. But then they're going back to the same dysfunction where they come from. In a house, the whole family could be hooked in drugs, in alcohol. So the temptation is really strong. It's like if they're not doing what they used to do, they have become an outcast. And they have no place to go. I mean, we have some recovering alcoholics, substance abuse people who said, you know, where can I go? I mean, there is no halfway house in the reservation. There is no residential facilities for those who would like to be free from drugs and alcohol. So that is really a challenge. You can teach them, but that's all that you can do at the moment. And pray for them.
Earlier this year, you were away, and while you were away, some bad things happened.
Yes.
Would you tell us about that?
Yeah. Like I said, I was officially, called to be their pastor March, but I still have commitments in Atlanta, Georgia. I'm a church planter there. I'm connected with First Baptist Jonesboro. At the same time, we were also looking after our grandchildren. It's in the middle of the school year almost, and so it's like we cannot leave. Okay, but my wife said, okay, you can go ahead, do what you can, start to minister there, help the church while we're still in Atlanta. So I've been coming back and forth. Now on that one, we were brought already some of our stuff little by little. On that week, I left most of our stuff already in the house. And then the First Baptist Jonesboro had a commissioning night for me, sent me off. After the commissioning night, I was driving home when I received a call that somebody came in and trashed the place. I didn't know how serious it was at first. I told them, I'll just clean up a space there where I can stay. I'm driving back. I'm driving up tomorrow, back to Montana. When I get there, I will clean up the place. And they told me, Pastor, you don't know the extent of the damage. It's really bad. So when I came home, when I came back to the parsonage, the place is really totally destroyed. There were paints and feces all over the place. Our stuff are all over the place. We lost some of our personal belongings, laptops. There practically none left that is salvageable. Things. Really bad. And
So pretty much everything you had brought here
yes,
was destroyed.
yes, sir. And I think it's like I told people, the stuff can be replaced. God the Lord will provide, but the feeling of having been violated, then it was painful because some of the people who did, some of the kids who did the thing, they've been to our meeting before. We have been feeding them for many months. I was told the church did, anyway. Another thing is the tribe doesn't seem to know what to do with it. They were minors. They were just middle schoolers. And they were able to apprehend some, but they cannot really do a thing. And it wasn't the only time that they did it here in this facility, in the parsonage. They did it many years ago.
Tell us about some of the things you've seen God do since you've been here.
Yes, it's amazing because now we're living in the church office. I converted it into some kind of a studio for my family, for our family, and so they know there's somebody there, so they knock on the doors, asking for prayers. Some of them would ask for a cup of coffee. If we have it, we give them. If not, we just say sorry, not the time. You can come back later. But mostly to ask for prayers, and so we pray for them. And there were times that the effect of prayer is amazing. There are times that they might have been prayed over so many times in the past, but many of those that we have prayed had stayed. And in fact, some of them are going through baptismal class. We had already baptized one last Sunday. We will have in line 3 more to be baptized in the next few weeks. The numbers are not really spectacular, but we can see the difference of the ministry of the word to these people, and the prayers and the love. It's like these are the people that we feel they need to feel belong first before they can believe or receive seriously what we're teaching. Then we can start really some changes in their behavior. So that's what I've been telling our people. Belong, believe, behave. So it's like it may take a while for us to see really some changes in the behavior. But we're starting to see that. Those again, the challenge is that before these changes can really become somewhat permanent, there has to be some changes really in their condition, and that is the problem that we're facing. It's like they're starting to really get cleaned out, but we need to. It's like we wish we can put them somewhere else, in a house where they will not be confronted by the temptation to go back to where they had been.
How long ago was it since the last time the church was able to celebrate baptism before this past Sunday?
This is a funny thing. It's like when we made preparation, when we started to fill up the baptistry, there are just so many holes to plug and so many things not working. And so I asked them, how long ago did you use the baptistry? And nobody can tell me exactly. It has been a long time. Okay, it's like most of the people in the church now, had not seen baptism since they were a part of it. So that long.
So a decade or more.
I think so, yes. Maybe you could say that. Yeah. But we're really happy that at last we have one baptism.
Amen. Amen. Any specific prayer needs that you'd like to share?
Wow. We need wisdom. Big time. Like many had already attempted to do some serious ministry, discipleship in this reservation. The church itself is 65 years old. And so it's like it has been, they tried almost everything and it seems that nothing is working. So I was thinking, what can I do? I mean, what is it that I can do that they have not tried yet? So this time really need some wisdom what to do. So we need wisdom. Please pray also for we need some residential facility right here in the reservation who will partner with us. Like if we have somebody who would like to change, we can disciple them, but there has to be a place for them to stay. They don't have to go back to their homes where there is really strong temptation for them to relapse. Just pray for the protection of my family. I cannot really share the specifics, but I know we are putting our lives on the line by coming here. Poplar is known to be the stabbing capital of the country in terms of per capita, per population ratio. So we need, there's really some specific ones. Now that we're back in the parsonage, we're good. But I am driving a car that's got 315,000 miles on its odometer, so we're praying seriously for some reliable one, especially one that we can use when winter comes.
And the nearest Walmart's how far?
And the nearest Walmart is about an hour and a half away from us. So that's quite a distance. And we have actually really members who are out there, outside of the town, and there's no paved roads going there. So that's another concern of ours, really. When it becomes muddy, these people don't go to church, so we have to go to them. Our needs, the income of our church at this time is $900 a month average, and $600 of that goes to utilities of the two facilities, the church and the parsonage. There's none left for me, and so that's another challenge. I can tell you, in the last 3 months we have never gone hungry. God has been faithfully providing our needs, but if you could include that in your prayers, I'd really appreciate it. The Indian people might be here in North America. They're just in our neighborhood, but they don't think the way we think or the white people think. So we really need to understand how their mind operates and how we can effectively present the gospel to them. The discipleship process, strategies that we used might not work with them. So we have to come up with one that is contextually relevant to them. And that's another challenge. We have to come up, I've been trying to look for some materials that have been research-based, that might be adaptable to the Indian people. I cannot find one. So the challenge for me by Richard Blackaby, so you might have to come up with your materials. And so that is one challenge that we're facing.
And you expressed that you'd love to see some folks come and partner with you for an extended time, more than just a week. Tell us about that.
Because that's how we work, okay? Like we've been coming in and out of the reservation, but one comment about young people that we had ministered in Fort Belknap is this. Okay, you know what? You keep coming, but you're leaving. It's like you will win our heart, but you will break it too when you leave. And it's like short terms are good. There's a place always for short-term outreach, short-term missions. But if you would like to do some really serious discipleship, it's got to be long-term. We've got to stay long enough to really know them and for them to trust. Discipleship can only take place in a trust situation, and it will take time sometimes, most of the time, for trust to be developed. It's like you go there on outreach, you win them, you become friends with them, and then you leave. And so even then I was already encouraging people to come and stay for a while, maybe at least for a month. Stay there for a month, get to know them, wait for a time when they can become comfortable with you, and you know that when they will invite you and say, hey, would you come to our place for coffee, something like that, and then you can start some discipleship. So what I'm saying, I wish, please keep sending your teams. We have always something for them to do. And but if some could stay, at least for a month, work with us, work with the church, help us set up some programs that we can sustain when you leave. And I believe it can happen if we have some people who will stay for a while, at least for a month, and help to develop the capability of the church to continue on what you have started when you leave. I don't think it can happen, humanly speaking, in a week.
Thank you, Pastor.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for coming. And please come back.